Yuki, a werewolf child, tells the story of this film. She told the life story of her mother, Hana, who married a wolfman and raised their 2 children alone after he died. They moved to the countryside, and the children have adventures in the woods and at school. Before we go, this video contains spoilers. So please take this warning for those that haven't watched this movie yet. Without further ado, here's the recap of Wolf Children. The film opens with Hana, a university student in Tokyo, studying with the help of a scholarship. One day, Hana saw a man in her class that is so different from the other students. He always sat alone, bringing only a notebook, and never submitted his attendance card after class. She approached him, trying to get him an attendance card, but he refused and said that he was not a student there, then left. On his way out, she saw him help a kid who fell while playing, made her happy. Time went by, and they got closer each day as Hana kept helping him in the class by lending her textbook and letting him enter the library. One night at a park, he showed Hana he was a werewolf. He is the descendant of the Japanese wolf that went extinct 100 years ago. And he is the last being that inherited a blood mix of humans and wolves. Hana accepts him no matter his circumstance because she is already in love with him. They then live together in a house just like a couple. While her husband works as a driver, Hana continues her university studies. These are the happiest moments for them. One day, Hana got pregnant with their first child. While pregnant, her husband hunted a lot to get Hana nutritious and delicious food. Because she is afraid that her child's identity as a werewolf would be exposed, she does not go to the hospital for her child's birth. Their first child was born in the form of a normal human girl and was named Yuki. Years went by, and she got pregnant with her second child. Their second child is a boy named Aim because he was born in the rain. Life seemed perfect for a while. But one afternoon, her husband never got home. Worried, she went outside to look for her husband in the middle of the rain. She found her dead husband's body in the form of a wolf in a river. He seemed to be trying to hunt food for his family but failed. Now she had to be a single parent and raise her children alone. What she feared became true as her children are also werewolves, just like their father. They transform into werewolves, depending on their emotions. She is having a hard time, especially because her first child is hyperactive while her second child is timid and weak. The problem came when one day, Yuki got sick. She is uncertain whether to take her to a human or animal hospital. She then just called the 2 of them and consulted through a phone. Luckily Yuki got better in the end. Because Yuki and Aim cried and howled a lot at night, the neighbors complained a lot to them. The neighbors also called the Children's Consultation Center because they worry that she is abusing her children. Since Yuki and Aim never got any immunization or medical checkup, Hana got more suspected by the Children's Consultation Center. Hana then decided to move to rural areas and bought a house far away from neighbors. This would allow Yuki and Aim freely play around their house. Hana then renovated her new house alone while her children played around the house. Her children are thrilled with their new house because they are free to play around and explore their wolf side. Hana always taught her children not to show their wolf side to the villagers and always be nice to everyone. As their savings from her husband had already run out, Hana decided to learn agriculture by reading books about growing plants. But her endeavors to plant them always failed. With the help of a grumpy but nice old man named Nirasaki, Hana eventually learns to grow the plants properly. Due to her hard work the plants she grew were good when harvested. To express her gratitude, Hana shared her crops with the villagers. But the villagers also gave Hana their crops in return, which made Hana overwhelmed because her fridge couldn't fit all of them. The kind villagers then gave Hana a bigger fridge to fill them. Apparently, Nirasaki is the one who asked the villagers to help Hana, which made Hana very grateful to him. This made Hana closer to the villagers. But this also made Hana more worried that people would find out about her children. During the winter, the 3 of them played around with the snow. On the way home, Aim got separated. He saw a bird eating a fish at a river. Unknowingly, Aim tried to hunt the bird but fell into the river. Yuki, who saw that, called her mother and jumped into the river to save Aim. Luckily, she managed to save him. After this incident, Aim, who was previously rejecting his wolf side, has now embraced that side of him as he is sure he is destined to be a wolf. Time passes, and Yuki is now old enough to go to school. Even though Hana was initially hesitant, she was allowed to go to school in the end. Hana made Yuki promise to hide her wolf side from other people no matter what. At school, Yuki was different from the other girls. She is more wild and like things that are different from the other girls, like snakes and bones, while other girls would like flowers and jewelry. Yuki then decided to be more graceful and girly to get close to the other girls. Since Yuki went to school, Hana tries to get a job as an assistant for nature observers despite the low salary. Hana took Aim with her to work a lot. This gives Aim more enthusiasm for nature. He also feels more comfortable there because there is a wolf there. Time flies and Aim also goes to school now. He can't adapt well to school and gets targeted by school bullies because of his quiet attitude. Because of that, Aim spent more of his time in the mountains. One day, Yuki got a new transfer student named Sohei. She said that Yuki has a smell of furry animals around her. This made Yuki uncomfortable and worried that her identity would be exposed. She had no confidence in being close to her friends anymore. As Yuki always avoids Sohei, he gets more curious and keeps bothering Yuki for answers. This made Yuki upset, and he accidentally attacked Sohei, making his ear bleed. At school, Hana asked Yuki to apologize but was ignored. Sohei's parents then got mad at Hana. But Sohei said it was not Yuki that attacked him but a wolf he saw before passing out. This made Hana even more worried. Due to the incident, Yuki refused to go to school for days and locked herself at home. This made Sohei feel guilty. He visited Yuki's house daily and gave her food or letter so she would return to school. Yuki then decided to return to school, and the two became friends. Hana's attention then turns to Aim, that no longer wants to go to school. He prefers to spend his time in the mountain. At first, Hana let Aim go to the mountain alone to learn from someone he called his teacher. But Hana got curious and asked Aim to take her to meet his teacher. Unexpectedly, his teacher is a fox. Aim learned so many things about the mountain, especially how to survive in the wild, from his teacher. Aim felt that this is his world. As time went by, Yuki and Aim grew to be teenagers. The difference between the two of them got bigger. One night, Aim asked Yuki to go to the mountain together because that's where they belonged. But Yuki refused because she wanted to live like a normal human. She even asked Aim to go back to school but refused. Because of their opinion difference, they engaged in a fight and injured each other. Hana tried to stop them but in vain. Aim revealed his red eye, indicating he is becoming a wild wolf daily. One day, Aim found his teacher injured by a falling tree and might die soon. He told his mother that he must replace his teacher as the leader there at the mountain. Hana did not allow him to return to the mountain anymore because she still considered him a child. Despite Hana's refusal to let him go, Aim still seemed determined to go. In the afternoon, a huge storm hit the village. Hana was about to go to school to pick Yuki up, but he saw Aim leave the house. She then pursued Aim despite the storm but lost him in the end. She went up the mountains to find him but slipped and fell unconscious because of injuries. Meanwhile, at school, Yuki and Sohei are the only ones left. At that moment, Sohei told Yuki about how his parent did not care about him and that he wanted to live alone. Seeing Sohei telling her about him, Yuki also decided to tell him about her secret. But Sohei was not shocked as he knew about it from the beginning. He promised her to keep it a secret. Yuki felt relieved and smiled happily. The scene shifts to Hana having a dream where she meets her husband in a flower garden. He praised her for raising their children well. He also told her to let Aim go as the two children had found their path. Aim was seen carrying his injured mother down the mountains to somewhere safe. Right before he left, Hana woke up and told him not to go as she hadn't done much for him. Aim, who had completely turned into his wolf form, looked worried back. But still decided to go to the mountains in the end. At the peak, Aim howled as loud as he could. Upon hearing his howl, Hana realized that Aim had found his path and smiled. She finally let go of her child. The next year, Yuki left the house to study in a high school dorm. We can see the picture of her mother sending her off with a smile. Several years later, Hana still lives happily in her house while hearing Aim's howls from her house. She continues to look at the picture of her dead husband while smiling. So that concludes the recap of Wolf Children. What do you guys think? This film beautifully tells us a great story about motherhood. It shows the tough side of a mother who selflessly accepts her life for the sake of her children. She never gives up on her children no matter how hard the situation is, especially with her unique situation and the fact that she had to raise them alone. This film made us appreciate and respect our parents more, especially those raised by single parents. Besides the story, the film also gave us beautiful visuals, making it even more enjoyable. Please tell us what you think through the comment section.